The citizens of the 27 EU member states elected their representatives to the European Parliament between the 6th and 9th of June. As anticipated by several polls, the results brought shifts in the Parliament compared to the previous legislative period. The pro-European groups in the Parliament maintained their overall majority. However, while the centre-right European People's Party consolidated its position as the largest group in the Parliament, other pro-European groups, such as the Socialists and Democrats, the Greens and the Liberal Renew, suffered losses in terms of seats. Far-right groups, such as Identity and Democracy, the European Conservatives and Reformists and other non-attached extreme-right MEPs, have increased their weight. How will this new composition of the European Parliament affect the overall direction of EU policy and the EU's priorities in the upcoming years? The European Parliament is the directly elected legislative body of the European Union, representing its citizens. It currently has 720 members. Together with the Council of the EU, the Parliament has the power to pass EU laws. It can shape and influence legislation on a wide range of issues. MEPs are organized into political groups based on their political affiliations rather than their nationalities. These groups play a crucial role in the legislative process by coordinating their members' activities, forming policy positions, and negotiating legislation. The pro-EU groups still have a majority in the European Parliament, but the number of seats held by right-wing and far-right groups has increased. What impact will this have on EU policy?
I do believe that there will be an impact, but not maybe as big as was anticipated by many observers, because ultimately I think the result was not earth-shattering. There was certain success of the radical right and Eurosceptical parties, but the overall coalition that dominated the EU in the past, the EPP, the Social Democrats and the Liberals still have a majority, and I think they will be still very crucial and very important in shaping the policy orientation of the European Union.
Following the European elections, EU leaders met on the 27th of June in Brussels to adopt the 2024 to 2029 strategic agenda. What could be the most important priorities of the bloc for the next 5 years?
It's very clear that there is going to be a stronger emphasis on competitiveness, on the economic prosperity, a strong emphasis on security and defense. And what is clearly no longer the top priority for the EPP is the climate policy. I think this still in the European Parliament has a lot of support, and I am quite sure that in the strategic agenda this will remain an important priority for the EU. But there will be a certain shift from the emphasis on climate to competitiveness, prosperity, and security. Migration, I think, is an extremely hot political potato. Nothing has changed about it. There must be an enormous emphasis of changing from irregular migration to regular migration. But I think different from the years 2015, 2016, there is now a broad understanding that for demographic reasons, the EU will need a great deal more immigration, legal immigration, and this has to be managed in a responsible manner. The unfortunate thing is that many populist and radical right parties are not interested in solutions of this issue. They're interested in exploiting it for political purposes.
The EU strategic agenda for 2024 to 2029 also mentions the importance of EU enlargement as a geostrategic investment in peace, security, stability, and prosperity. Since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, the EU has granted candidate status to 4 new countries: Ukraine, Moldova, Georgia, and Bosnia and Herzegovina. In June, the bloc began accession talks with Ukraine and Moldova, while several other European countries are also in the process of negotiating membership. How will this new political landscape affect the enlargement process?
Well, so we have to bear in mind that when it comes to the EU enlargement, it still falls under EU's foreign and security policy, which means that it's still firmly in hand of the member states and the Council. Therefore, it will not have some dramatic impact, but the results of the elections definitely will somehow shape the direction in which the discussions on the side of the European Parliament will be made. Far-right parties across Europe don't have unified positions on the EU enlargement. Some of them definitely call against enlargement because of the questions concerning migration, socio-economic impacts on the current member states, but there's no unified so far position when it comes to the far right across EU towards the enlargement.
According to the experts, the newly elected European Parliament is expected to shift its focus towards economic competitiveness, security and defense, while continuing to address the challenges of climate change and migration. The EU's strategic priorities and the pace of enlargement are also likely to be affected by the evolving political landscape. Follow the European Newsroom to stay informed about further developments resulting from the European elections.